targeted with a Lee Sin ban first up from OMG. That is very different. Lysandra Cassidy, not so much.
Yeah, the MLXG Lee Sin has been very impressive, been very assertive in the early game. King's strength is usually around the early game. It probably wasn't going to be the cacao flavor of Lee Sin we've seen recently, which has been more farming up to 6.
Yeah.
MLXG likes to poke his head out early, get his lanes going. King's all about the early game, so ban out one of their cornerstones of that strategy.
Yeah, and actually Kalista going to be banned away from Uzi here. Uzi only had one chance to play her so far, but not going to have another one in this particular game, as Rek'Sai going to be taken off the board as well. Has seen some nerfs, so interesting to see the Rek'Sai ban coming through, and it could be just aimed at MLXG because he's a fantastic Rek'Sai player. Haven't actually seen it myself because she spends a lot of her time on the ban list.
And maybe this is just kind of a gauntlet being thrown into MLXG. He's kind of had a lot of Lee Sin games this season. Obviously shown some proficiency on the Rek'Sai. Going deeper into the champion pool out of someone who's been so consistent, that leaves the Nidalee open. The one Nidalee jungle we've seen struggled. Pawn actually on the mid Nidalee did very, very well. But LoveLing, this is a guy who always adapts to the jungle meta. We remember the days of the jungle Yorick and all his other innovative picks. I have to think this is going to be LoveLing trying his hand on the Yorick jungle, the Nidalee jungle.
Oh, if only it was Yorick jungle.
Sadly
I'm one of those
not.
few people that actually likes Yorick. I'm sorry, everyone who I've alienated by saying just that. Skye is going to be hovering over the Rumble pick, of course, still incredibly strong. Taking it away from gogoing, also a fantastic idea. But I am really excited about seeing this Nidalee jungle pick actually work out to what her strengths are, because she's fantastic in those counter-jungling situations, can move around the map really quickly with her passive. So look to see her trying to get in amongst everything and mess things up, because we haven't yet seen that style of Nidalee jungle happening yet. And it is going to be the Rumble locked in and Thresh taken away as well in the hands of LeyM.
Yeah, it's worth noting here that it was Skye's Rumble that was really something new that we saw in King's last series, and he wrecked on it. He was excellent. He was very consistent with his equalizer use there. And we come back to the Nidalee pick. Of course, we have to mention it is a flex pick. We're not 100% sure that we can expect it in the jungle. But everything I know about LoveLing as a player suggests to me that it is going to be that Nidalee jungle.
I'd be excited to see it if it does come through. Morgana is the hover here, but they are going to switch over at the last minute to the Maokai. Gogoing, actually opting into the Maokai Rumble matchup. And I find that interesting. Rumble tends to have a pretty decent time up there.
I agree. I mean, in certain 1v1 situation, Maokai can do capably, but he does struggle, especially in the early levels, to that Rumble damage. And the instant lock of Draven.
Oh my goodness. So we've had many conversations about Sivir pick punishment here in amongst the casters ourselves, and yeah, Draven I think definitely does well in this matchup, as Crystal has demonstrated, but just in general, he is such a bully in that lane, and man, Wuxx just straight up there, straight there. I'm just locking that one straight in, and Vi going to be taken off the board here as well, so going to remove that option for really getting on top of this Draven, which I really like.
And Uzi, there were times in the drafting phases last week where it looked like he needed to play the utility carry. He needed to play the Sivers of the world, and relied on the Vayne. I mean, went one for one with that pick, but looked like they would have closed out easier series with the Sivir pickup. Now he finally locks in the Sivir and is preyed upon by Wuxx here with the Draven lock. We've just seen Imp and LGD successfully navigate around the Draven. The facility never got going. But it's going to be all about the early lane phase, the early lane swaps, getting Draven away from that Sivir.
Yeah, and one thing that's fantastic for this Draven comp coming through here is just King's general playstyle, and the fact that LeyM is fantastic at vision control, especially early on. So able to protect that Draven, who is otherwise relatively gankable here. But if it is going to be LoveLing on Nidalee here, not a lot of pressure apart from those high damage spears.
Atlas, it's not going to be a LoveLing on Nidalee.
Oh, what?
That's a Hecarim.
Yeah, but that could be a Hecarim in the top lane. That could be a Hecarim anywhere.
I'm even wrong. I've been doubly fooled here.
Look at that. We'll have to switch seats, I think. I'm going to have to chuck myself on the analyst desk.
I'm going to wait, though, because that's a Maokai support. What
is going on? Ladies and gentlemen, OMG have confused all of us yet again. That is It's going through. Okay, you guys can't see on the screen. It has counted down, and we are going to have low on Maokai support.
Okay, so Maokai has got a lot of CC. He has a 20% damage reduction. He can push waves, But that was the last place I thought Maokai was going. I thought the two-way Maokai mid was more likely than what we ended up with.
Yeah. In fact, Cheese from the OPL, fantastic Maokai mid player, but I have not seen Maokai in the support role for quite some time. And when he first came out, I decided to do that. It didn't work out very well for me, but Low, of course, a much higher caliber player, and next to Uzi as well, they're going to have a lot of lockdown with that Twisted Advance early on, but you have to think that they want to fight with these two champions, because Maokai, what else is he going to do? Poke with saplings?
Yeah, Maokai's an all-in support, much like Leona, you'd have to think. Goes in with Twisted Advance, potentially could be flashed into a turret, and of course won't have the same base stats or tanky stats that they would have in another role. I think it's not the worst laning pickup. It's a very aggressive pickup. It's the sort of thing you probably want to lane swap given the situation, as I see you sort of losing your mind at this Maokai lock-in. I know it's late out there. It's been a long day, but this is definitely something from OMG. Not since the days of Alan's support LeBlanc, of course, now LoveLing. I thought they'd moved away from those off-meta picks, but Low, he's got some as well.
It's amazing. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with OMG taking on King. For our first game, OMG are going to be on the blue side and aggressively invading already into King's side of the map. And I didn't have something in my eye. That is actually a support Maokai.
It is a support Maokai. Of course, at level 1, has a lot of strength if you pick up the saplings for early scouting. So I do like that the 35-second, maybe 40-second saplings, very good for early vision. Of course, has CC options between the Q and W, so very flexible at level 1. But it's actually going to be the Hecarim top. The Hecarim top we saw in Game 1 certainly didn't work out. It's not the Ignite teleport Hecarim top, no. So I do like this extra safety of the flash, but patch 5.2 is here, and Hecarim has certainly been the first breakthrough champion on this patch.
Yeah, Hecarim seeming to join the ranks of Aurelia, Rumble, the common picks there in the top side of the map. Of course, Maokai, very common in the support role, but also a top laner as well, Papa Smithy.
Also a top laner. We see a lot of traps coming down. It's smart to invade with this jungle Nidalee because, of course, she doesn't deal very well with being invaded on early. If you can get the vertical jungling happening, the 2 buff start guaranteed, then jungle Nidalee can be very potent.
And look at this. King have actually managed to get the 2v2 lane as well, sending Thresh and Draven up there to the top side. They're going to have the 1v1 Hecarim against Rumble. Not entirely sure how that one works out, but you have to think that Wuxx going to be very happy laning against this Sivir early on.
You see that Hecarim's already teleporting back, so we'll see if they have a very fast laning option here. They're not going to continue the jungle follow for a potential 4-man gank or a 2-buff start. Hecarim teleports to bot. Yep, it's going to be standard lanes, and when it's standard lanes and that involves Draven against Sivir, you don't like this early lane matchup for OMG.
You're definitely not excited if you're Sivir, but this is Uzi as well, so you can never count him out, and he has the likes of Maokai support, and we're not entirely sure what that means.
And maybe that's a big thing for the matchup, though, Atlas. Maybe the fact that they have the Maokai support here changes the damage calculations, the all-in potential of Wuxx and LeyM. Maybe they're not sure what to expect.
Oh, and the level 2 actually gets reached first here by OMG, who have shoved out this lane. Twisted Advance does come through from low. Death Sentence not going to find its mark, and I'm just so excited to see what happens up here.
He does, of course, scale very well with health items, so he will be able to happily pick up the upgraded gold regeneration items right here, the face of the mountain. He'll, of course, there's so many spells going on in a 2v2 lane that he'll be very sustainable. He's still a melee support. There's a reason we don't see a lot of Leona and Alistar's because of the fact that he has a lot more trouble in a 2v2. But the all-ins, as we see up top, going for, once again, an all-in trade.
Yeah, the
quite strong.
Yeah, it seems to be working out here quite well in the early levels for OMG. Not entirely sure. It's sort of like a Nunu support, isn't it? Sort of like heaps of sustain, but very sort of all-in and sort of pokey, throwing saplings instead of Ice Blast. I guess, you know, you have a little bit more utility. More CC and less utility than a Nunu, but I'm trying to liken it to something, and I'm honestly coming up a little bit short.
I'd say just given the kits, it feels a bit like Leona in terms of the fact that it's an all-in trade when you go for it. You know, you're actually teleporting to the enemy laner with that gap close, the Twisted Advance. You have the ultimate which provides you utility rather than more lockdown. You scale well with health. It's an interesting pick, and you can even push waves with your Q and E. So it has a lot of flexible choices. We just don't see it a lot.
No, we don't. But We haven't looked into the jungle here, and it has been LoveLing. He managed to get his blue after stealing the enemy red. His red still up here. So MLXG only to get one buff thus far. And this Vi, who wants to be leveling up, wants to be rushing to that level 6, going to miss out on a big camp as Uzi gets flayed back here by LeyM. But Wuxx, he's hanging really far back. He doesn't want to have too much to do with this. And LoveLing hanging around, wanting to make something of it, but unable to right now. Gogoing getting burnt a little, but not going to be too worried as he's already pretty much on fire.
I do like the fact that they have a strong lockdown CC to support the Nidalee damage ganks. You know, you do have the Twisted Advance here. Makes it a lot easier to hit that Nidalee spear, get the damage and the gap closer in a gank. So actually helps in the skirmishing to have this the Maokai top. It's providing a lot of flexible options for OMG.
Ooh, and Cool actually going to stop Assassins back here. Has a massive CS advantage in the mid lane, being able to harass this Zed out early. Using that range advantage, of course, is what he is able to do as this LeBlanc, but lots of long swords now picked up from Assassin. We'll see whether he can turn it around. Yeah, all the swords.
It's a skill matchup in mid lane. Of course, Assassin will struggle in the early levels just because it's a melee versus ranged matchup, and LeBlanc has a lot of instant harass. But once we see level 6 being hit on both sides, you do have a lot of cool outplay options on that Zed with the Death Mark.
Yeah, you can use your Living Shadows to really dance around these fights as well. Low actually looking to go aggressive. Uzi hopping into that brush and promoting a ward to be put in by King.
I mean, Draven, look, the CS is very even in what is traditionally a super one-sided matchup right here.
Do you think the King are maybe as confused as we are with how this lane works, what the damage potentials are? Because, of course, players get very used to trading in lane and knowing exactly how much damage is going to come through. That might be a factor here as actually the Death Sentence to come through. There's a brilliant Dark Passage, and Low going to try and twist and advance his way out. The flash out of the way of the Vault Breaker here as well as Uzi gets played back, trying to turn it around. Wuxx taking so much damage. The teleport, and there's the onslaught of shadows, and Gogoing picks up the kill. Skye's here as well, trying to burninate everyone. MLXG going to fall down as well as Low picks up the kill. He's going to be burnt down like the tree he is, though, and Skye picks up one in answer, but OMG getting the better of that trade.
And during all of this in the middle, also a successful gank coming in for LoveLing, the 2v2. The 2v1, once Zed had overextended, used his shadow, there was nothing he could do. But full credit to Gogoing. His teleport came through first, and there's so much difference of the onslaught of shadows coming in compared to the Equalizer. They're both teamfight changing spells, but one of them's an engage that got them first blood. The Equalizer, they managed to pick up a kill for Skye, but you cannot compare those two champions at a level 6 situation. So once the fight starts right here, it is a very nice engage coming out from King, but once the Q is flashed here by Low, they should back away. They've gone in too aggressively. That's what prompts the teleport coming through for Hecarim, and is able to get the solo kill on Wuxx, even through the heal being used right there. Skye tries to harass around, and I guess MLXG is surprised by the Twisted Advance following through his flash right there. They get the counter kill, the Rumble, but definitely a trade in the advantage of OMG.
Yeah, and Cool actually hitting level 6 before Assassin, able to use that Mimic in order to get a lot of extra damage from that Sigil of Malice. And Deathmark only just became available here for Assassin. We'll see whether he can utilize his swords, but thus far, Cool able to get himself a nice advantage, and also has the double Dorans as well for the extra health pool. The lanes have swapped back down to the bottom side, of course, need to be near that dragon at around this 10 to 12 minute mark, because that's when it wants to be taken, and need to have as many members there as possible. Hecarim, Gogoing going to be shoving this wave into the top lane, and Skye going to be wandering up and seeing whether he can get as much as he can. Our top lane is now very even, but the bottom lane, here's the engagement. Wuxx taking so much damage. The Dark Passage going to get him to safety there as he just wanders around looking cute. Death Sentence going to land here as well, but Low, he's a pretty tanky guy right now.
How often do you see a Sivir beating Draven in a consistent 2v2 lane matchup in a 1v1 situation? And again, look at the items right here. It's the big item pickups. The Onslaught Shadows comes into mid.
Whoa, some fancy shadow work from Assassin going to get him to safety, but Gogoing really trying to make plays on this Hecarim.
It's a BF Sword Sivir against a Vamp Scepter Wuxx. It's a massive advantage in trading here for Uzi. And again, the low on the Maokai pick, it's hard to say if it's the champion or, as you point out, the lack of familiarity with the champion in the support role. But whatever we can say, this combination is doing massive work for OMG.
Yep, seems like OMG breaking the meta yet again, ladies and gentlemen, with Maokai's support. Now going to be a permanent fixture in your solo queue games.
Especially on the Chinese server, I would definitely step away from solo queue for a few hours after this game.
Most definitely. As long as no one's playing Shaco, though, I'm going to be more than happy. It's cool. Going to continue farming out this mid lane, and he has so much control here. Assassin sort of pressured at every opportunity, as we can see.
So, I mean, gogoing's going the same build as Amazing J. On this Hecarim, it's very understandable that we see the Trinity Force rush just because you have so much burst damage coming through your E and the auto attack there. The burst is huge. And if you have the gold, if you're actually CSing well in a 1v1 lane, you can transition to tanky items before the teamfight phase really breaks out. The problem that happened for Amazing J on EP is that he fell behind to the point he started getting hard denied in lane and just hit that Trinity Force power spike too late. If we can see it coming in a bit earlier, it does opt in for the Trinity Force for a bit more mid-game power, but the Trinity Force earlier into tanky, a very good build for the Hecarim.
Yeah, and of course has that Rampage to really make sure that you're getting the best out of your Sheen procs as well from that item. But OMG going to sneak themselves a cheeky dragon at the 10.5 minute mark, and King just not going to answer to that one at all. And I think it has a lot to do with this bottom lane working out fantastically for OMG.
Yeah, I mean, you never think that Uzi will be in a position to out-rotate a Draven just because you expect him to be low on health or dead, and now the turret dive's going to come in.
Yeah, they're all in there as well as Wuxx getting locked down by Low here. On the hunt's being popped. LoveLing going to fall down though. MLXG trying to answer back the whirling death, promoting the heal coming out of Uzi, and Low completely out of mana. Vault Breaker's going to find him, and denting blows onto Uzi here as well as the Boomerang Blade goes through Wuxx, but it's not going to deter him until they get under the tower. But nice turnaround.
Yeah, wonderful jungle pathing from LXG to be there for the counter gank. In the mid lane, Assassin continues to eat a lot of harass, but Vi's the hero, just pathing so well to match that turret dive coming through from LoveLing.
Yep, Low not going to find the death sentence there as LeyM trying to lay down a little bit of CC. Leandri's already rushed here from Skye, and that is an interesting early pickup from Skye up there.
Usually it's the solution against health stackers. Of course, there's no real health items being picked up, no magic resist either. He could have easily gone for the Sorcerer's Shoes with the same amount of gold, so the completed item pickup doesn't really ring true to me, but I guess it's just to deal with this Hecarim in the top lane.
And he might have gone back with that perfect amount of money as well. You know that feeling where, oh, it's lit up. Probably should buy it.
Probably should buy it.
It's one of those situations. Uzi now pressuring Wuxx out of lane on this Draven. That is a sentence that I was never expecting to say about a Sivir versus Draven matchup. But Low definitely doing well. Ooh, the Mimic's being looked for here. The chains land. There's the Black Death Mark to come through, but Assassin falls down instantly. MLXG trying to come through the teleport in response with the equalizer down here as well, but Skye not going to find any joy as Cool's copy is going to fall down. Death Sentence actually over the wall here. LoveLing not going to find the spear.
I mean, King just looked like they were being overly fancy there. They had LeyM standing just behind the turret there just to lantern Zed out of safety, but wasn't even able to react in time and just died for free there, did Zed. To have two members there acting so reactionarily against all the burst damage potential of Cool, questionable play from King.
Yep, it's going to be very interesting. And OMG are now able to zone Wuxx off this outer turret in the bottom lane as well. So we managed to pick it up eventually, but that was a lot of creeps dead to that one, and you can see Uzi already with a level advantage, and LeyM is so far behind LoveLing. He's going to land a spear here. So much damage to come through. The pounce, he doesn't quite find it, but the box, not enough, and Uzi picks up a kill. 1-0 and 2 now with a gigantic CS lead. And my gosh, King are just not having a great time this game so far.
I mean, the flavor of the jungle Nidalee, it kind of reminds me of the time when those Nidalee spears were invisible, right? Where you couldn't see them, and of course the laning phase was so easy for a mid lane Nidalee. It kind of feels like they're invisible when you don't have any early warning that they're even coming in. For them to come in from the fog of war and then the assassination potential coming out of the pounced Q, it's a lot of damage coming from those ganks.
It's also terrifying. You have to expect there to be a spear coming over the wall at all times. You have to be playing very carefully and unpredictably in every lane when there's a jungle Nidalee. It's just how you have to react.
It's almost like you have to overward to give yourself any peace of mind.
This difficult assassin is going to get out of the way of the chain there in the mid lane, but he is struggling. Has his two sort of main items here in the Bilgewater Cutlass and that Brutalizer, so he has a decent item threshold at the moment, but it's not enough against the Morella Nomicon of Cool. Oh, Onslaught of Shadows here in the top side, though. There's a twisted advance. Skye going very low. MLXG has found his way in here, though. Beautiful equalizer, and they're going to melt through OMG low. So low on mana. Skye is also falling very low, as well as gogoing's trying to get the Rampage kill. Nice scrap shield to come down. Silences himself, but it's a decent 2-for-1 trade as Cool tries to find MLXG. Oh my goodness, that Dark Passage was so close to saving him. So 2 for 2 in the end.
2 for 2, and King did use more resources there, so credit to OMG. Good to see those kill pickups. This Hecarim's getting snowballing, has 2,300 gold to spend.
Oh my goodness.
Very going to be very, very close to that Trinity Force, but might even look into tank outs. Nope, it's a straight Trinity Force.
Yep, going to finish that off from the Phage, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a very different Hecarim to the one that we saw in our first series today. Gogoing has really got going.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, God.
Yeah, you went there, Atlas. That's okay.
I didn't even mean to. That was horrific. Oh, as Cool's going to discover LeyM here as well. And everyone on OMG well aware that it's only a minute until Dragon, positioning themselves, and they pick up a kill. And LeyM, that's just the problem when you go warding on your own.
I mean, the burst damage that comes out of a Trinity Force Hecarim, especially a snowball Trinity Force Hecarim. I mean, we should just talk about this Maokai making picks across the map.
Yeah, the roaming ganks coming through from low on this Maokai, as well as Wuxx trying to turn this one around. Spear's not going to find him as Cool's going to get Vault Breaked. Whirling Death to come through, but it's not really doing the damage that you'd want from a mid-game Draven. And OMG continue the pressure. Needlessly large rod being picked up from Skye before he even has Boots 1. Trying to make that equalizer decimate these fights, but hasn't quite found it. Did it work out for them in the top side? But that was a 2 for 2. OMG were probably okay with that, as this inner turret is getting destroyed.
The small thing that buy gives Skye over, say, just going for the very early Soul Switches, gives him a bit more wave clear. Of course, with the flat AP, can clear waves a bit easier, but I don't know if that justifies missing out on the 2-item power spike. He's delayed that power spike so late at this point, and they just don't have a lot of extra CC to kind of layer that ultimate on top of as Wuxx. Man, he's just been trolled this whole game. He had to deal with the Maokai support he wasn't expecting in lane, so he's lost his counter matchup, and now there's very little a Draven can do when they're behind. Today is the first time in LPL play that we've seen a Draven have to play from behind.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Does have that Bloodthirster now completed, so has hit a decent item. That shield going to be helping him against Cool, and of course that life's still going to be great against the burst coming down. Gogoing though, hanging around by the Dragon, and OMG pick up their second for free.
I mean, there's such a difference between an over-leveled, snowballed Hecarim and the amazing J Hecarim that was struggling to get a Trinity Force by 21 minutes. Once the first big health item comes in for this Hecarim, he's going to be bossing around fights.
Oh, yeah. 3-0 and 2 now. Has a CS advantage, but not that much. Credit to Skye here for staying in this game as far as the farm is concerned. He's found the solo lane farm that he needs. Assassin now is trying to split push as a Zed is wont to do. But King left with only 4 members to get sieged down, and this is where Nidalee really thrives. We haven't seen her doing fantastically so far, but when a team is ahead, having a Nidalee is just so terrifying as Wuxx gets torn apart by Cool.
Yeah, I mean, Zed has to abandon his split push, doesn't have any wards to split push effectively. Hecarim looks to find him in transition. But King, when they're behind, there's just nothing they can do to all this poke and engage from OMG.
Oh, Assault and Battery's going to come down. And oh my gosh, MLXG gets destroyed. The Equalizer's trying to do some work. Low does fall down as King trying to fight back. But look at all of the damage on the side of OMG. And Cool is just tearing holes in people. This LeBlanc is destroying 5-0 and 3 so far.
The team fighting from Cool on LeBlanc is something that everybody should take note of. He's so good at team fighting with that champion, with using the Mimic Distortion for the maximum AoE damage. His laning was already wonderful. It's a 1-for-1 assassin at this point. But Cool, I mean, that mid laner is just so wonderful to watch.
He is brilliant on this champion as well. His LeBlanc has been fantastic all throughout the LPL so far, and as we see this again.
Yeah, so we see the chains initiation right there. They went for that was the go button for MLXG and the team, but the overdive comes in from going. But watch Cole in the background with the instant double kill in that fight. Cole's so on top of his mechanics, and the front line is falling to all the AP stacked on this LeBlanc.
And it's very difficult, even at the high levels, to know what the heck's going on in these really chaotic fights, and he seems to have sort of pinpoint accuracy on everything. So hyper-aware of what his champion's doing, as he's just going to poke Wuxx out here, and Wuxx is going to go the hell away. It's
both the awareness and understanding the limits at every point. At every AP value, he knows when he should be all-inning, when he should be backing away. He just understands the champion so well. And it suits him to a T, because LeBlanc is a proactive champion, and when Cole's on the Lulus of the world, okay, the enemy team can play around it. But when he's on the LeBlancs, he will boss around games like nobody's business.
And OMG, you know, their style is to push down these turrets as quickly as possible. But now, Baron a little bit weaker on this patch. Could we be going towards that Baron phase very early here as well, because OMG are so objective focused?
I mean, that's a definite adaptation we'd like to expect. Once they get those 3 turrets down, they've had aggressive vision in King's side of the jungle consistently throughout this game. It's started to fall away right now, as we haven't seen Maokai shop and get his Sightstone stacks back. So they don't have quite the ward coverage to do the Baron. But, you know, you pointed out in an earlier series when we saw IG take a very decisive Baron. It is a realistic option at 20 to 25 minutes into the game.
Yeah, but OMG looking to destroy turrets more, and they've got like this 1-2-2 split push going on, and King unable to sort of rotate around and capitalize, because these champions so able to move around the map. Everyone has an ability to speed themselves up apart from Low, but Skye is getting ganked in the top lane, and look at the twisted advance, locking him down. And Low even picks up the kill. Well deserved by the support Maokai.
The Sivir Hecarim has so much synergy. Even Maokai, you know, we always talk about Sivir and Maokai when Maokai's in the top. All right, it'll help him get into the backlines. Just the same flavor on support.
Oh, yeah, cool. Actually, popping over the wall here just to throw out a combo onto Assassin, and he's going to have to visit the fountain yet again. And OMG already taking down their first inhibitor turret 21 minutes into the game. And we thought that this comp was interesting. In fact, it was genius.
It's been devastating. It's just so impressive that with that Sivir Maokai, they were able to 2v2 Wuxx and LeyM on Draven and Thresh. I'm not willing to say that Maokai is the key champion to beating Draven and lane. That's definitely not somewhere I'm going to go, but it's been a masterstroke to throw in a curveball that actually made a lot of sense given both the comp, because of course they had the targeted engaged CC for the damaged jungler LoveLing to have an impact in the lane, but also just the ability to pick something like that in a big game here. This was actually a big test for OMG to be able to contest this game, and they should be able to take the Baron in this game, you have to say at this point, with relative ease.
Oh yeah, easily taking that one down. LoveLing going to smite that away, and a Baron buff now on a team that already has an inhibitor down. A gigantic 14,000 gold lead, 7 turrets to 0 in favor of OMG, and King, you have to think that they've just been snowballed on.
They've just kind of been, you know, we were aghast when we saw the picks come in.
Yeah.
We were like, all right, so where's that Maokai going? It ended up being the bottom lane, or in this case it was, of course, the 2v2 up top. But it's just gone so well. I have to say, Assassin's kind of been the biggest question mark to me. We were so complimentary of his Zed play, but it's really struggling. Going, just not respecting these brushes whatsoever.
No fear at all. Actually manages to dodge out of the way of the Vault Breaker by accident there, as King are forced to back away. Living Shadow over the wall. There's the onslaught of shadows, actually. They're going in as Cool just deletes Wuxx, and he is no longer here. The box for the disengage, but oh wow, just the tip of the spear almost manages to land on the behind of LeyM, and gogoing. He's not finished. He wants to fight already under Nexus turrets. No fear at all as Assassin gets destroyed as well. Cool finds that kill, and OMG are storming the base. Super Creep's already here, and they're pumped up with this Baron buff as well, and OMG, they just want to finish the game. No fear at all.
Gogoing doing so much damage to structures with those Trinity Force procs and his E running. OMG, they never took their foot off the pedal. They never even gave up a structure.
Yeah, and Wuxx, his whirling death is tickling OMG as this Nexus gets decimated, and OMG are back, Papa Smithy. We said slump before. In fact, I did. I'll take the credit.